You're dodging the question. The cover-up continues.
The House Oversight Committee and I have agreed
We
will spend the time
reclaiming my
together.
time. I do not accept that answer. We've heard that one. We are our own committee. We have our own reason to test your credibility and veracity. Please answer the question. Why did you lie to the Post?
I have voluntarily agreed to spend the time and talk about it.
I reclaim the time. Let the record reflect you're dodging the question. The cover-up continues. Secretary Lutnik, why did you lie to the New York Post about your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein? Oh, I did hear that. Please don't repeat your gracious offer to speak behind closed doors, not under oath, without the ability of this committee to question you. The American people wants to know, why did you lie about your relationship with Epstein?
The House Oversight Committee and I have agreed
We
will spend the time
reclaiming
together.
my time. I do not accept that answer. We've heard that one. We are our own committee. We have our own reason to test your credibility and veracity. Please answer the question. Why did you lie to the Post?
I have voluntarily agreed to spend the time and talk about it.
I reclaim the time. Let the record reflect you're dodging the question. Let's start with your relationship with sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. In October, you told the New York Post with colorful narration that the last time you saw Jeffrey Epstein was in 2005 when you took a tour of his house, which happened to be right next door to yours. You claim you and your wife were so grossed out by this disgusting person, you swore you would never go back. But when the Epstein files came out, it turned out that was a lie. You were forced to admit that you had visited Epstein's private island in 2012, 4 years after Epstein pled guilty soliciting a minor for prostitution and was labeled a sex offender. You brought along your wife, your kids, your nannies to the predator's island. Incredibly poor judgment. But that even wasn't the whole truth. It turns out that 5 days after visiting his island, you and Epstein signed a business deal together. As co-investors in a digital advertising company, Adfin, and emails showed you stayed in touch with Epstein about this deal as late as 2018. The cover-up continues. You know what? In your conversations with the president, is the president concerned about your continued relationship that you had with Mr. Epstein as recently as 2018?
I'm not going to discuss conversations I have with the president. That is not something I'm going to do.
If you remember in that interview, you said you would never be in the room with him socially, for business, or even philanthropy. President Trump has just fired 3 cabinet secretaries, 3 women, Kristi Noem, Pam Bondi, Lori Chavez DeRemer. If President Trump has even a shred of concern about accountability for Jeffrey Epstein's enablers, he would fire you too. Beyond Adfin, what other financial ties do you have to Jeffrey Epstein? I'm going to switch topics. Let me switch topics. A different and equally disturbing issue, how your family is profiting from your work as Commerce Secretary. Let's start with tariffs. You and the president illegally imposed the highest tariffs on the American people since the Great Depression. And your sons figured out how to profit from the high tariffs by buying up refund rights, pennies on the dollar, just as you were out there cheerleading the tariffs. As a result, federal taxpayers like my constituents may now owe your family tens of or hundreds of millions of dollars. I wonder if President Trump is concerned about you and your family profiteering off the illegal tariffs.
You know that is false. Here's reporting. I'd like to put it in the record. Howard Lutnik's old firm did not, in fact, profit from Supreme Court tariff ruling. It is just not true.
It's your sons. The
No,
reporting
his
is
old firm and my sons. It is not
Mr. Chairman,
true.
reclaiming
And
my
you know
time.
it's not true.
I have
it's
asked
not true.
Mr. Chairman, reclaiming about 20 seconds. I hope you recognize how fundamentally wrong and corrupt this is. I hope you take accountability and have the decency to resign before you are fired.
It's not true.
I want to be very clear about what just happened here. Mega Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnik, a Trump bootlicker and billionaire grifter, just sat in a congressional hearing, looked a United States representative in the eye, and tried to dodge his way out of his own documented relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Listen to the timeline Congresswoman Madeleine Dean just laid out. Back in October, Lutnik swore up and down to the New York Post that the last time he saw Epstein was in 2005. Oh, he was so grossed out by Epstein, he claimed he swore he would never go back. Just trust him. Don't even question it. Just do whatever he says. But then the actual Epstein files dropped. And what did we find? Lutnik didn't cut ties in 2005. He went to Epstein's private island, the Predator's Island, in 2012. Let me say that again. 2012. 4 years after Epstein pleaded guilty to soliciting a minor and was labeled a registered sex offender. And it gets worse. Lutnik didn't just go alone. He brought his wife. He brought his kids. He brought his nannies to a convicted sex offender's island. But sure, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was just a wildly inappropriate family vacation? No, because 5 days after visiting that island, Lutnik and Epstein signed a business deal together as co-investors in a digital advertising company. They stayed in touch about this deal as late as 2018. When Congresswoman Dean asked him point-blank why he lied to the New York Post, what did Lutnik do? He offered to speak to her behind closed doors, not under oath. Oh great. Just trust him. Let's just handle the cover-up in private without the American people hearing a word. Dean didn't let him off the hook. She asked about his conversations with the president. Lutnik refused to answer. He sat there, stonewalling, saying he wouldn't discuss it. The cover-up continues right in front of our faces. And if the Epstein evasion wasn't enough, Dean pivoted to the money. Because under this administration, it is always about the grift. Lutnik and Trump illegally imposed the highest tariffs on the American people since the Great Depression. And while Lutnik was out there cheerleading for it, his own sons figured out how to profit. They bought up refund rights for pennies on the dollar. Federal taxpayers, your constituents, my constituents, might now owe the Lutnik family tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. When Dean cornered him on this blatant profiteering, Lutnik's defense was literally, "It is not true, it's the old firm and my sons." Dude, what are you talking about? Your family is profiting off your own illegal tariff scheme, and you're playing semantic games about which shell company holds the bag? Red states, blue states. Not everything is Democrat, Republican. This is about fundamental corruption. Trump just fired 3 female cabinet secretaries, but is perfectly fine keeping a commerce secretary who hung out with Jeffrey Epstein in 2012 and whose family is pillaging the Treasury. As Congresswoman Dean rightly said, if Trump had even a shred of concern about accountability for Epstein's enablers, he would fire Lutnik today. It is fundamentally wrong, it is deeply corrupt, and Lutnik needs to resign before he is fired. Hit subscribe to hold these grifters accountable. Drop your thoughts in the comments below.